Namaskar, I am Parsuram Sukla, Training Associates Economics, KVS ZIT Bhubaneswar. Welcome to my economics class. Today I am with you with my third video lesson of Money and Banking Class 12 Macroeconomics. I have already discussed two video lessons from this unit. Hope you have watched my videos. If you have not watched, the links to both the videos are given in the description box given below. Today I will be discussing Chapter 3, Classification of Money, Demand for Money and Contingent Functions of Money. So the content to be covered in this chapter: Classification of Money, Demand for Money, Contingent Functions of Money and Monetary System in India. The learning objective: at the end of this video lesson, you will be able to classify the various forms of money, state the concept of demand for money, explain different contingent functions of money, categorize the static and dynamic functions of money, state the features of monetary system in India. So let us discuss the classification of money. As you know, money can be classified on the basis of relationship between the value of money as money and the value of money as a commodity. Broadly, money can be classified as full-bodied money, representative full-bodied money and credit money. Full-bodied money: any unit of money whose face value and intrinsic value are equal is known as full-bodied money. That is, money value is equal to commodity value. For example, during the British period, 1 rupee coin was made of silver and its value as money was same as its value as a commodity. Face value versus intrinsic value. Every unit of money has two values. One is face value and the other one is intrinsic value. Face value refers to the value which is written on the unit of money. For example, face value of 10 rupee note is equal to 10 rupees. Intrinsic value: it refers to the value of the metal contained in the unit of money. For example, the value of silver contained in a silver coin is known as its intrinsic value. Representative full-bodied money: it refers to money which is usually made of paper. The value of representative full-bodied money is much higher than its value as a commodity. It is accepted as money as it can be conveniently used for carrying out transactions. Such a type of paper money is 100% backed by metallic reserve of gold or silver and is redeemable at the option of the holder. For example, in case of convertible paper receipts, a person can exchange the amount stipulated on the paper receipts for equal value of gold. Two kinds of representative money: convertible paper money and inconvertible paper money. Convertible paper money: it refers to the currency notes which are freely convertible into full-bodied money, that is gold or silver, at any time at the option of the holder. However, 100% backing of gold or silver is not desired, as all the notes in circulation are not simultaneously presented for conversion. Inconvertible paper money: it is that kind of paper money which cannot be convertible into full-bodied money at the option of the holder. However, it circulates and commands value as its issue is regulated by a responsible government. This money does not have any backing of standard coins or bullion. Indian 1 rupee note is a good example of inconvertible paper money. Then the third one is credit money. It refers to the money whose intrinsic value as a commodity is much lower than its face value. That is, money value is greater than commodity value. For example, value of rupees 100 note is rupees 100, but we would get a much lower value if we sell the note as a piece of paper. Credit cards, bank deposits are other examples of credit money. Then various forms of credit money. First one is token coins. That is the first form of credit money. These refer to small coins of various denominations which are issued to facilitate day-to-day requirements of the people. All Indian coins, like those of rupees 10, 5, 2 or 1, are token coins, since their value as money is more than value of metal contained in them. Representative token money: it is 100% backed and is fully redeemable in some commodity such as gold or silver. It is generally in the form of paper, and market value of what is actually offered is less than value printed on paper notes. Circulating promissory notes issued by central bank. These are currency notes issued by Reserve Bank of India in our country. These include all currency notes of denominations like rupees 2000, 500, 200 and 100, etc. Each promissory note contains the words, it's very important, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of rupees. So the amount will be mentioned here. Sum of rupees may be 2000, maybe 500, maybe 200, maybe 100, maybe rupees 50, maybe rupees 20, rupees 10 and so on, and is signed by the Governor of India. The commodity value of a promissory note is much less than its money value. Demand deposits in bank. Deposits are claims of creditors, that is depositors, against bank. These deposits can be withdrawn from the bank or transferred from one person to another by issuing a check. Such deposits do not have backing in terms of any bullion, that is gold or silver. The commodity of check is much lower than its money value. Demand deposits convenient for making transactions of huge amounts as they remove the risk of carrying large amounts of cash. Then demand for money. Why we demand money? People demand commodities such as rice, wheat, cloths, etc. because they possess utility. However, money does not possess any utility to directly satisfy the consumers. Broadly stating, there are three main motives for which people demand money. Why we demand money? There are three main motives. So, first one is transaction motive, second one is precautionary motive, and the third one is speculative motive. So, for these three motives, we demand money. Transaction motive. It refers to demand for money for conducting day-to-day transactions. This motive can be looked at from the perspective of consumers. Consumers want income to meet their household expenditure, that is income motive, and from the perspective of businessmen who require money to carry on their business activities, that is business motive. That is, people in the form of consumer and in the form of businessmen demand money. That is transaction motive. Transaction motive relates to demand for money to meet the current transactions of individuals and business units. The income which a person gets is not continuous, whereas expenditure is continuous. That we know that the income is not regular, whereas the expenditure is regular. That means we have to incur expenditure always in our day-to-day life, but accordingly the income is not received by all of us as we require to spend on the consumption. Therefore, so to bridge the gap between receipt of income and its expenditure, people hold cash. According to Keynes, transaction demand for money is positively associated with the level of income. That is, higher the level of income, larger would be the size of money holdings per transaction. Precautionary motive. The second motive is precautionary motive. It refers to the desire of people to hold cash balances for unforeseen contingencies. People wish to hold some money to provide for the risk of unforeseen events like sickness, accident, etc. The amount of money held under this motive depends on the nature of individual and on the conditions in which he lives. The demand of money for precautionary balances is also closely related to the level of income. Higher the level of income, more will be the cash balances for contingencies. Likewise, lower the level of income, lower will be the cash balances for the contingencies. So, transaction motive versus precautionary motive. Let us have a comparison. In case of transaction motive, money is held for ordinary transactions, while under precautionary motive, cash is kept to meet unforeseen transactions. Under transaction motive, holding of money is very convenient and value of money in terms of other goods is relatively certain. However, under precautionary motive, holding of money depends on the degree of uncertainty, that is, more money is kept in the events of war or financial crisis and less money during normal conditions. In general, the cash balances held for transaction and precautionary motives are directly dependent on the level of income. Then the third motive is speculative motive. It refers to desire of the holder to keep cash balance as an alternative to financial assets like bonds. Under speculative motive, it is presumed that people can hold their wealth either in the form of bonds or in the form of cash balances. The decisions regarding holding of bonds or cash balances depend upon the expectations about changes in the rate of interest or capital value of assets, that is bonds, in future. The interest rate varies inversely with the market value of securities, that is bonds. When interest rate rises, market value of bonds falls. Hence, demand for money for speculative motive becomes less at high interest rates and becomes large at low interest rates. Then the contingent functions of money. The various contingent functions of money are distribution of national income, maximization of satisfaction, basis of credit creation, productivity of capital, bearer of options, and guarantee of solvency. Distribution of income. Money helps in optimum distribution of national income among different factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, and enterprise. Total output of the country is jointly produced by these factors. So the output should be distributed among them. Money helps in distribution of the national product in the form of rent, wages, interest, and profit, which are expressed in money terms. This distribution of national income we have already clarified in the national income accounting, the measurement of national income. Maximization of satisfaction. Money helps the consumer and producers in maximizing their satisfaction. A consumer derives maximum satisfaction by equating the price expressed in terms of money of each commodity with its marginal utility or satisfaction. Similarly, a producer maximizes its satisfaction, that is profit, by equating the marginal productivity of a factor with price of such factor. Basis of credit creation. Credit creation by commercial banks was not possible until money was introduced. So this credit creation will be clarified in detail in the commercial banking that will be followed after this particular video lesson. Money as a store of value has encouraged savings by people in the form of demand deposits in the bank. Such demand deposits are used by the commercial banks to create credit. Productivity of capital. Money increases the productivity of capital as it is the most liquid asset and can be put to any use. Due to liquidity of money, capital can be easily transferred from less productive uses to more productive uses. Bearer of options. Money provides purchasing power in the hands of the person, that is the bearer, holding it, and he has numerous options for its use. The bearer can change his decision regarding use of money from time to time and place to place, depending upon urgency, intensity, and his priority. That means you may think that who is the bearer, who is holding the money, he or she is the bearer. He or she may like to use money as he or she wishes to use, depending upon his or her requirements. Guarantee of solvency. Money serves as a guarantee of solvency for an individual or institution. If an individual has enough money, more than his liabilities, then he cannot be declared insolvent or bankrupt. Due to this reason, individuals and firms keep large amount of money to meet unexpected needs. Static and dynamic functions of money. According to Paul Engine, functions of money can be classified under two heads: static functions and dynamic functions. Already we have discussed the functions of money. So those functions can be categorized into static functions and dynamic functions according to Paul Engine. So which are the static functions? Functions which facilitate the working of the economy of a country. For example, the functions of money as a medium of exchange, as a measure of value, as a store of value, and as a standard of deferred payments are all static functions, because without these functions, the economy of a country cannot work. So which are the dynamic functions? Functions which cause movement in the level of economic activity in a country. So these functions determine the economic trends. For example, functions of money as the basis of credit and liquidity actually brings about changes in the level of economic activity in a country. Expansion of credit not only needs to rise in the price level, but also increases the levels of income, output, and employment in the economy. Both static and dynamic functions are needed for the healthy functioning of an economy. So let us discuss about the monetary system in India. The key points: India has witnessed various monetary standards in its monetary history. The present monetary system in India is managed and controlled by the Reserve Bank of India and is known as Inconvertible Paper Currency Standard. In India, rupee has been regarded as the standard currency and all transactions are made in terms of rupees. In our country, The monetary authority is Reserve Bank of India. India follows the paper currency standard, as currency followed in India is made up of paper. Coins are limited legal tender money and can be used for making small payments, whereas paper notes are unlimited legal tender and can be used for making payments of any amount. RBI has the sole monopoly to issue currency notes of rupees 2 and above. Ministry of Finance issues the 1 rupee note and all the coins. However, the responsibility of putting all the currency notes and coins into circulation rests with the Reserve Bank of India. India follows the minimum reserve system for note issue. It's very important to remember. Under this system, the central bank, that is the Reserve Bank of India in our country, is required to keep a minimum reserve of gold and foreign exchange worth rupees 200 crores, and on this basis, RBI can issue any number of notes. So let us do a worksheet. Please have your notebook with you and mark your answer after seeing the question, and tally the answer with the solution which I will be giving at the end of this worksheet. So you see the worksheet here. I am not ready. Please see and do the answer on your notebook. Please read and mark your answer in your notebook. I hope you might have done your answer and marked in your copy. Let us see the solution. Answers are written in red letters. You see the question already you have seen, and the question is also repeated here in this solution. A unit of money whose face value and intrinsic value are equal is known as full-bodied money. The representative full-bodied money is usually made of paper. Two kinds of representative paper money are convertible paper money and inconvertible paper money. Token coins refer to small coins of various denominations which are issued to facilitate day-to-day requirements of the people. The functions of money which facilitate the working of the economy of a country are called static functions. Transaction motive is the demand for money for conducting day-to-day transactions. Precautionary motive is the desire of the people to hold cash balances for unforeseen contingencies. Speculative motive is the desire of the holder to keep cash balance as an alternative to financial assets like bonds. The monetary system in India is managed and controlled by Reserve Bank of India and is known as inconvertible paper currency standard. In India, the monetary authority is Reserve Bank of India. India follows the paper currency standard, as the currency followed in India is made up of paper. Ministry of Finance issues the 1 rupee note and all the coins in India. Demand deposits are used by commercial banks to create credit. India follows the minimum reserve system for note issue. Coins are limited legal tender money and can be used for making small payments, whereas paper notes are unlimited legal tender and can be used for making payments of any amount. I hope you have cleared your doubts. As usual, home assignment, some questions, sample questions. What do you mean by full-bodied money? Define the concept credit money. What do you mean by bearer of options? What is precautionary motive of demand for money? Explain the speculative motive of demand for money. Explain the concept of representative money. Mention the name of representative money. State and explain the legal definition of money. So as usual, I have marked, I have given 1 mark, 3 marks and 4 marks question. These are the pattern in which the questions are asked in the board exam. See you all in my next video on commercial banks. Please give your feedback to my email ID parsuram.shukla@gmail.com, and to my WhatsApp number 9938649454. I hope you are all benefited by these educational videos. So kindly like, share and subscribe so that next videos reach you immediately. Thank you for watching. See you all in my next video. Thank you.